Hello everybody and welcome to session 4 of your online learning package. This is for the unit BSBTWK201. I would just like to direct you all to your virtual classroom, which is on the MS Teams website, and it has all of your resources loaded up onto that site. I've created separate breakout rooms and pages under the class notebook title, and there are separate pages in there to inform your learning and to complete the self-directed learning that are embedded into this actual training program. So prior to starting the session, please make sure that you have set up your workspace ergonomically and that you are in a safe and comfortable learning environment. I've emailed you a link to access this content following the presentation, and this forms the final session in the unit BSBTWK201. Okay, so this final unit is relating to conflict resolution, so it's managing issues, problems and conflict within the workplace. So, how can we deal effectively with issues, problems and conflict? Some examples of issues, problems and conflict in the workplace can be things like an interdependence conflict, a leadership conflict, working style conflict, personality conflict, background-based conflict. And these different types of conflict all kind of relate to a breakdown in communication, a breakdown in information sharing, and respecting values, beliefs and diversity within the workplace. Now, what I'd like you to do is pause the video here and brainstorm some issues for problems and conflicts and then write them in the columns. So column 1 and column 2, write down some possible ways to respond to issues and problems and conflicts in the workplace. I have created a page on your virtual classroom in the class notebook session under the conflict page, and you can put your answers in there. The issues above, race, religion, social and economic issues, political views, interests, family dynamics and personal relationships, these will help inform your assessment questions when we come to do the assessment, which are the written questions. There are also some self-paced learning materials in the student resources folder titled Managing Conflict Self-Paced Questions. The answers are on a separate sheet to help you evaluate your answers, so you can marry them up against the ones that are in the separate answer sheet. Now, this again can be done on the virtual classroom, and you can access this through the MS Teams virtual classroom link that I sent earlier in session 1. So, respect. So, following the previous activity that you've just done, consider the following points. Respect the values and beliefs of others, protect the values and beliefs of others, and work with diversity. Now, you can see a QR code that I have embedded here. If you can scan this QR code, it will take you to a quick guide to the Australian discrimination laws. Now, that can help you unpack some of the core issues relating to respecting values, beliefs and diversity. of other people within your team. So what I'd like you to do is consider the advantages and disadvantages of working in a diverse workplace, because there are advantages, breadth of knowledge, in-depth understanding. If you have patients or clients that are from diverse or minority groups, having people from those represented groups within your team serves as an absolute advantage for your team. There is a website that I have linked in your student resources page in the virtual classroom, and that is a wikihow.com, and it's a show respect website where you can access again some core information relating to respecting values and beliefs and diversity. So, identifying differences in communication styles. If we think about linguistic difference and what that means, brainstorm some ideas on how to respond to differences appropriately. For example, do you modify your tone, your body language, your gestures? You can record these on your virtual classroom. Again, there is a page that's set out for you on the Managing Conflict page in your class notebook section. So linguistics here refers to the study of language. So a linguistic difference refers to the language differences between people. Culture relates to people who share a common background, although they may not necessarily speak the same language. Culture can be defined as all the ways of life, including arts, beliefs, and institutions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. Culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. As such, it includes codes of manners, dress, language, religion, rituals, arts, norms of behaviour, and things like law and morality and systems of belief. Again, you can find a web address in your student links that gives you some more information on cultural awareness, and it is quite informative and will underpin your learning. There are times when linguistic differences make it impossible for you to communicate with someone who speaks a different language. Now, if this occurs, you may need to use an interpreter service, which many organisations now employ. Interpreter service can provide translation of the spoken words into another language. Some people have disabilities that can affect their spoken language. They may not communicate using words at all. For example, a person who is deaf may use sign language to communicate. Some people's language may sound slurred, and it may not contain all the regular speech sounds, and it may be different from the usual pattern of speech. This may be the case for someone who has cerebral palsy, for an example. They may use an alternative form of communication, such as a board, a voice output device, or a keyboard. Most workplaces have documents that are written in English. Although commonly used, they can be a source of problems for workers and customers who do not speak English as a first language. Written material should be reviewed from time to time to check how easily a non-English speaker understands it. Although currently there are quite a number of translations into languages such as Mandarin, Hindi, Bahasa, and Japanese. Recording your response on the following for the virtual classroom, on the class notes conflict page, and how these might be implemented in the workplace. So what I'd like you to do is go on to the class note conflict page and write down a few responses to using a translating or interpreting service, communicating with someone who has a disability, or preparing written material. So give some examples of how and when you would use those different formats to communicate with someone who had an impairment. So How can problems be identified? How should you respond? Think of some problems that could occur in the workplace. How to identify an appropriate responses to the problems. Respond in the virtual classroom under the class notebook conflict resolution page. How the following can result in conflict and discuss possible solutions. So, poor communication, unrealistic work and time expectations, stress, personality clashes and favouritism. These are some of the key principles that occur in conflict situations that occur in the workplace. So indicators could be a decrease in productivity, quality issues, high turnover of staff. The average turnover rate of staff is 16%. If it's any higher than that, then this could indicate some problems within the workforce. Excessive absenteeism, dysfunctional meetings where people can't stick to agendas and there are constant interruptions, and people just generally feeling like they're not having their say or being heard. Anxiety and stress and complaints. Changes in interactions with others as well can be an indication that there is some conflict. In every workplace, there are occasions when people disagree with one another or when something does not go according to plan. Such differences and issues are more easily and quickly resolved when employees are focused on helping each other rather than being focused on their own agendas. It's important to be able to identify the cause of such problems when they arise to ensure they can be resolved quickly and effectively. This ensures that the workplace remains harmonious and everybody feels supported and safe. So, principles applicable to a resolution. How can we deal with issues, problems and conflict? Conflict resolution is the ability to successfully resolve conflict with others or amongst others. Can you think of some of the ways we have reviewed the strategies and that you can think of to resolve a conflict? Think about how the strategies could work and when some might not work. So if we're looking at involving a manager, going to mediation, putting in a formal complaint or a grievance, or even having a brief discussion with the person involved. There's a scenario below which I'd like you to answer on the virtual classroom. So if you go to your class notebook, under the section of conflict, you can just jot down and brainstorm your ideas here of how you would respond to the following. So you get off on the wrong foot with a new co-worker, they ask for your help in responding to a customer inquiry. You refuse to lend a hand because you're working on a tight deadline. You don't want to waste any time. There has been an incident between the two of you, and ever since that, the new co-worker has been unable to fit in and you have not been very responsive to helping them with issues. How are you going to resolve this? Pause the video and place your answers in the virtual classroom. So, all conflict can be fixed through good communication. Discuss what the statement means and give some examples of good communication. Brainstorm some reasons why a worker would need to consult with their manager or supervisor when difficulties arise. Do you think the scenario on the previous slide would warrant getting the involvement of a manager or a supervisor to help you resolve the conflict? Think about that problem and think about these 5 steps that I have listed below to help resolve problems. Would you feel confident utilising them? First, you have to recognise there is a problem. Consider what needs to happen to fix the problem. Ask someone to help you with a solution. Carry out the solution as a team. Talk about what went wrong. This is postvention. So it enables you to unpack the problem, see what happened, how it was resolved, and how to avoid having the same kind of issue arise again. So examples of when the plan may not need to be changed. If the problem changes, alternative solutions may need to be considered. Other team members who do not agree with suggested solutions, they may need to have a debrief. If the problem is not resolved as expected and it still remains, what other measures could we employ? How to change the plan? Reconsider the whole situation. First, re-evaluate the problem again. Make sure the source of the problem and possible consequences are identified. It's important that the negative effect of the problem be eliminated or be reduced as much as possible. Again, find possible solutions for the problem with collaboration of colleagues and team workers. Construct an action plan to deal with it. Write down some reasons why you may need to change plans and how to negotiate the new changes with your colleague. For example, if a piece of equipment breaks down or if someone's going on holidays. These can often be causes of conflict in a workplace and everybody assuming that somebody else will report an issue or will get something fixed. Your problem could be resolved in a number of ways, but examples of when a plan may need to be changed are if a problem changes, if alternative solutions may need to be considered, other team members don't agree with the suggested solutions, the problem's not resolved as expected because it still remains. Again, as previously, you can reconsider the whole situation, re-evaluate the problem, make sure the source of the problem and possible consequences are identified. It's important that negative effect of the problem be eliminated or reduced as much as possible. Again, find possible solutions for the problem with collaboration of colleagues and team workers. Construct an action plan and deal with it. Well done. You've now completed topic 3, and this is session 4 of all of the theory component of this unit, BSBTWK201. Reflect with your tutor. You can do this via email or on your virtual classroom on what you've learnt and what you found interesting in this topic. Remember, constructive feedback. You'll next have your assessment commencing. If you need any other support, please contact me on my email